All right. Are you ready to read? All right, we're on chapter 6. You want to hold it? You've been holding it lately. Chapter 6. The First Two Finders. The very next day, the first golden ticket was found. The finder was a boy called Augustus Gloop, and Mr. Bucket's evening newspaper carried a large picture of him on the front page. The picture showed a 9-year-old boy who was so enormously fat, he looked as though he had been blown up with a powerful pump. Great flabby folds of a fat bulge out from every part of his body, and his face was like a monstrous ball of dough with two small greedy currant-y eyes peering out upon the world. The town in which Augustus Gloop lived, the newspaper said, had gone wild with excitement over their hero. Flags were flying from all the windows. Children had been given a holiday from school, and a parade was being organized in honor of the famous youth. I just knew Augustus would find the golden ticket, his mother had told the newspaperman. He eats so many candy bars a day that it's almost impossible for him not to find one. Eating is his hobby, you know. That's all he's interested in. But still, that's better than being a hooligan and shooting off zip guns and things like that in his spare time, isn't it? And what I always say is, he wouldn't go on eating like this he does unless he needed the nourishment, wouldn't he? It's all vitamins anyways. What a thrill it will be for him to visit Mr. Wonka's marvelous factory. We're just as proud as can be. Here's Augustus and his mom. Did you see? What a revolting woman, said Grandma Josephine. What a repulsive boy, said Grandma Georgina. Only 4 golden tickets left, said Grandpa George. I wonder who will get those. Put that back in. There you go. Come on. There we go. And now the whole country, indeed the whole world, seemed suddenly to be caught up in a mad candy-buying spree. Everybody searching frantically for those precious remaining tickets. Fully grown women were seen going into the sweet shops and buying 10 Wonka candy bars at a time, then tearing off the wrappers on the spot and peering eagerly underneath for a glint of golden paper. Children were taking hammers and smashing their piggy banks and running out to the shops with handfuls of money. In one city, a famous gangster robbed a bank of $5,000 and spent the whole lot on candy bars the same afternoon. And when the police entered his house to arrest him, they found him sitting on the floor amidst mountains of candy, ripping off the wrappers with the blade of a long dagger. In far-off Russia, a woman called Charlotte Russe claimed to have found the second ticket, but it turned out to be a clever fake. In England, the famous scientist, Professor Foulbody, invented a machine which would tell you at once, without opening the wrapper of candy bar, whether or not there was a golden ticket hidden underneath it. The machine, it had a mechanical arm that shot out with a tremendous force and grabbed a hold of anything that had the slightest bit of gold inside it. And for a moment it looked like the answer to everything. But unfortunately, while the professor was showing off the machine to the public at the candy counter of a large department store, a mechanical arm shot out and made a grab for the gold filling in the back tooth of a duchess who was standing nearby. There was an ugly scene, and the machine was smashed by the crowd. Suddenly, on the day before Charlie Bucket's birthday, the newspapers announced that a second golden ticket had been found. The lucky person was a small girl called Veruca Salt, who lived with her rich parents in a great city far away. Once again, Mr. Bucket's evening newspaper carried a big picture of the finder. She was sitting between her beaming father and mother in the living room of their house, waving the golden ticket above her head, grinning from ear to ear. Veruca's father, Mr. Salt, had eagerly explained to the newspaperman exactly how the ticket was found. You see, fellers, he said, as soon as my little girl told me that she simply had to have one of those golden tickets, I went out into the town and started buying up all those Wonka candy bars I could lay my hands on. Thousands and thousands of them I must have bought. Hundreds of thousands. Then I had them loaded into my trucks and sent directly to my own factory. I'm in the peanut business, you see, and I've got about 100 women working for me over at my joints, shelling peanuts for roasting and salting. That's what they do all day long, those women. They sit there shelling peanuts. So I say to them, okay, girls, I say, from now on, you can stop shelling peanuts and start shelling wrappers off these crazy candy bars instead. And they did. I had every worker in the place yanking off the paper off those chocolate bars full speed ahead until from morning till night. But 3 days went by and we had no luck. Oh, it was terrible. My little Virka got more and more upset each day, and every time I went home, she would scream at me, "Where's my golden ticket? I want my golden ticket!" And she would lie for hours on the floor, kicking and yelling in the most disturbing way. Well, sir, I just hated to see my little girl feeling unhappy like that. So I vowed I would keep up the search until I got her what she wanted. Then suddenly, on the evening of the 4th day, one of my women workers yelled, "I got it! A golden ticket!" And I said, "Give it to me quick!" And she did. And I rushed home and gave it to my darling Virka. And now she's all smiles, and we have a happy home once again. I don't know if we're going to make it through this chapter. I was hoping. That's even worse than that fat boy, said Grandma Josephine. She needs a real good spanking, said Grandma Georgina. I don't think the girl's father played it quite fair, Grandpa. Do you? Charlie murmured. He spoils her, Grandpa Joe said. And no good can ever come from spoiling a child like that. Come to bed, my darling, said Charlie's mother. Tomorrow's your birthday. Don't forget that. So I expect you'll be up early to open your present. A Wonka candy bar, cried Charlie. It is a Wonka candy bar, isn't it? Yes, my love, his mother said. Of course it is. Oh, wouldn't it be wonderful if I found the 3rd golden ticket inside it? Charlie said. Bring it in here when you get it, said Grandpa Joe. Then we can all watch you taking off the wrapper. Chapter 7, Charlie's Birthday. Happy birthday, cried the 4 old grandparents as Charlie came into the room early the next morning. Charlie smiled nervously as he sat down on the edge of the bed. He was holding his present, his only present, very carefully in his 2 hands. Wonka's Whipple Scrumptious Fudge Marlow Delight, it said on the wrapper. The 4 old people, 2 at either end of the bed, propped themselves up on their pillows and stared with anxious eyes at the candy bar in Charlie's hand. Mr. and Mrs. Bucket came in and stood at the foot of the bed watching Charlie. The room became silent. Everybody was waiting now for Charlie to start opening his present. Charlie looked down at the candy bar. He ran his fingers slowly back and forth along the length of it, stroking it lovingly, and the shiny paper wrapper made little sharp crackling noises in the quiet room. Then Mrs. Bucket said gently, "You mustn't be too disappointed, my darling, if you don't find what you're looking for underneath the wrapper. You really can't expect to be as lucky as all that." "She's quite right," Mr. Bucket said. Charlie didn't say anything. "After all," Grandma Josephine said, "in the whole wide world, there are only 3 tickets left to be found." "The thing to remember," Grandma Georgina said, "is that whatever happens, you'll still have a bar of candy." "Wonka's Whipple Scrumptious Fudge Marlow Delight!" cried Grandpa George. "It's the best of them all. You'll just love it." "Yes," Charlie said. "I know." "Just forget about all those golden tickets and enjoy the candy," Grandpa Joe said. "What do you want? Why don't you do that?" They all knew it was ridiculous to expect this one poor little candy bar to have a magic ticket inside, and they were all trying as gently and as kindly as they could to prepare Charlie for the disappointment. But there was one other thing that grown-ups also knew, and it was this, that however small the chance might be of striking lucky, the chance was there. The chance had to be there. This particular candy bar had as much chance as any other of having the golden ticket. And that was why all the grandparents and parents in the room were actually just as tense and excited as Charlie was, although they were pretending to be very calm. "You better go ahead and open it up, or you'll be late for school," Grandpa Joe said. "You might as well get it over with," Grandpa George said. "Open it, my dear," Grandma Georgina said. "Please open it. You're making me jumpy." Very slowly, Charlie's fingers began to tear open one small corner of the wrapping paper. The old people in bed all leaned forward, craning their sagging necks. Then suddenly, as though he couldn't bear the suspense any longer, Charlie tore the wrapper right down the middle, and onto his lap there fell a light brown, creamy-colored chocolate candy bar. There was no sign of a golden ticket anywhere. "Well, that's that," said Grandpa Joe brightly. "It's just what we expected." Charlie looked up. Four kind old faces were watching him intently from the bed. He smiled at them, a small, sad smile, and then he shrugged his shoulders, picked up the candy bar, and held it out to his mother, and said, "Here, Mother, have a bit. We'll share it. I want everybody to taste it." "Certainly not," his mother said, and the others all cried, "No, no, we wouldn't dream of it. It's all yours." "Please," begged Charlie, turning around and offering it to Grandpa Joe. But neither he nor anyone else would take even a tiny bite. "It's time to go to school, my darling," Mrs. Bucket said, putting an arm around Charlie's skinny shoulders. "Come on, or you'll be late." Stop at Chapter 8. 2 more golden tickets found.